We are ready? Good morning. Good morning to all of you here in Brussels, and good morning especially to our viewers online. Today it's 5th of December, and we are very honored to welcome you at our event, Skills at Scales for the Battery Industry. We are gathered here today to celebrate the 100,000 learners that have been participating, have been touched, and have absorbed the knowledge that it is in the European Battery Alliance Academy. These 100,000 learners have worked with us, have interacted with the ecosystem, with the academia, at local levels, at regional levels. And we are here to celebrate them, to celebrate their readiness of participating actively in the labor market and taking their position in this challenging industry. But we are here also today to celebrate the people who have worked to make the European Battery Alliance Academy a success. We are here to celebrate with our colleagues from the European Commission, with our colleagues from the member states, with our colleagues from the industry, from the learning training providers, from the local and regional authorities, from our colleagues from universities and education institutions. So first and foremost, it's a celebration, and celebration is looking at the past. But we are also here today to acknowledge the fact that skills today, it's very high on both regulators' agenda, but it's very high on the industry players' agenda as well. It's definitely higher than it was in 2022 and 2023 when the project has started. But we are also here today to commit and to look at the future. We are here today to commit to act, that we will not stop when the European Battery Alliance Academy project will be finished. We are here to commit that we will continue. We will continue after the project finalizing. We are going to continue our engagement at the regional, local, and central level. Our platform will continue to grow and modernize, and we will continue to put the skills development and the human development at the center of our activities in this very challenging industry. I think it is important for us to take this commitment here today with all of you there online, but also with the people here today in the room, because we know that the industry is facing headwinds, and we have to acknowledge that. But we don't have to be scared. We have to remain firm in this commitment, and we have to work more, to work more focused in order to make this industry a success, because the European competitiveness depends on this and all what it is linked to that. So today we are here first and foremost to celebrate, to acknowledge, and to commit. And we are here with our partners from the European Commission, and I'm very honored to welcome our first keynote speaker, Director General from DG EAC, Ms. Antoaneta Angelova-Krasteva. Antoaneta?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. Antoaneta Angelova-Krasteva, Director for Innovation, Digital Education and International Commission and International Cooperation at the European Commission. I'm truly delighted to be with all of you today, those who are joining today's event in person in Brussels and those who are joining the event online. This event actually takes place at a very special moment. This is the first week of the new Commission, which has a very ambitious agenda for the period 2024-2029 and beyond. Its work will focus on further strengthening Europe's competitiveness, its security and social fairness, while promoting sustainable prosperity and democracy. This will be a commission that will put at its center people and their development, equipping them with the skills they need to respond to evolving challenges and the needs of the labor market. And today's event is particularly relevant for that because we are celebrating. We are celebrating a very significant milestone. 100,000 learners that have completed the training through the European Battery Alliance Academy, which has been created less than 3 years ago. So my warmest congratulations go to the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, the EIT, and its community, the EIT InnoEnergy, for this remarkable achievement. So this academy is part of the Commission's efforts to support the reindustrialization of the European battery sector, which is taking place in the middle of fierce international competition. Storage technologies such as batteries are vital in the transition to clean mobility and energy systems. Global demand for batteries is increasing rapidly, and it is set to increase 14 times by 2030. So the EU could account for 17% of that demand. And this has an impact on the job market and the need for trained workforce to design, manufacture, integrate, and maintain batteries. These last years, we have seen new projects across the in Europe, and more are in preparation. The industry requires a diverse range of skills, from engineering and manufacturing, chemistry, to troubleshooting diagnostics and maintenance and repair. Skills are also needed for the management of waste batteries and to take measures to protect the environment and human health. New jobs, unthinkable until not long time ago, have emerged, such cell design engineers or battery test technicians. The shortage of a skilled workforce is a major business. The rapidly evolving demands from the job market call for more flexible and modular approach to learning and teaching. And this is at the heart of the Academy's concept. As already mentioned, the European Battery Alliance Academy was launched in February 2022 with the objective to train, upskill or reskill 100,000 workers directly and 700,000 indirectly by 2025 in order to meet the industry's demand. And this academy is the first of its kind, with a very concrete target in the number of trained learners and quick delivery. It has set the trend for the rest of the academies under the management of the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, in particular, those under the Net Zero Industry Act. And I'm truly proud today to say that the target has been met, and this would not have been possible, once again, without the EIT and its knowledge and innovation communities. So this is a very concrete example of the merits of the EIT model, which successfully integrated the knowledge triangle in support of the development of long-term pan-European innovation ecosystems that, as energy, are strategic to Europe's competitiveness. This is the case of the EIT InnoEnergy, one of the long-lasting EIT communities. The EIT InnoEnergy has not only built up a large network and business portfolio, but also diverse educational programs, also including master's and PhD programs, as well as professional training courses. And here I would like also to acknowledge the pioneering approach adopted by the EIT InnoEnergy, which has shown innovation and creativity to reach successfully the objectives of the European Battery Alliance Academy. Where is the uniqueness of this approach? It resides on the state-of-the-art skills intelligence, on the network of 4,000 local training providers, on the backing of 13 EU member states and regions such as France, Spain, and Poland, with countries such as Ireland mobilizing additional funds. There have been also courses in national languages developed jointly with the industry. And there has been also the use of European digital credentials, which are compliant with the Europass and which will allow learners to demonstrate their new skills wherever they go. So this initiative also shows the practical application of the European digital credentials, which links well with the priorities of the Executive Vice President of the Commission, Mrs. Roxana Mințatu, on the Future Skills Portability Initiative. As already mentioned, we are at the beginning of the mandate of the new Commission, which will put a strong emphasis on people and their skills in order to ensure that workers can adapt to the evolving job market. So let me briefly outline some of the main priorities of our Executive Vice President Mințatu for the coming years. One of them will be the development of a union of skills. And this is an overarching strategy that will focus on investment, adult and lifelong learning. It will focus on vocational education and training, as well as on skill retention and the recognition and enhancing of skills intelligence. The development of the Union of Skills will be a collective exercise, and it will see collective efforts across government, education, and business and other stakeholders. And our work will focus and use what's been achieved so far for the creation of the European education area, which will provide a major contribution to the Union of Skills, and it will drive also a common approach to skills development, learning, mobility, quality, and inclusiveness. In this sense, we'll develop a new action for basic skills and also STEM education strategic plan to address two of the most striking shortfalls. This should be further backed up by the review of the Digital Education Action Plan, together with the adoption of a roadmap on the future of digital education and training. Looking at higher education, we'll of course continue working on the European degree and supporting the European Universities Alliances. Additionally, to the preparation of the Skills Portability Initiative, the Commission will create a talent pool to attract skills, matching also the needs of the EU labour market, and will develop a European strategy for vocational education and training. And certainly the Commission will continue building on the achievements under the Pact for Skills in order to upskill and reskill more workers. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are only a few of the priorities which the Commission will work on during its new mandate. It is important to underline, without this being an exhaustive list, the need for strong action, commitment, and collective efforts. So the success of the European Battery Alliance Academy has set the minimum standards for other academies to come. And this is not the end. This is a journey. We have to continue working actively to foster public and private cooperation to meet current challenges. And we need to build up our resilience and prepare people for the changing demands of the labour market. So today's event is a great opportunity to discuss the lessons learned, to discuss future commitments, and set the path for the future academies. So thank you very much for inviting me to open this important event, this celebration, and let me wish you all very fruitful and insightful discussions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Director General Angelova Krasteva. And we heard about the critical and pivotal role that the EIT has played in setting up the European Battery Alliance Academy, and most importantly, making sure that it is functioning operationally and it is deployed rapidly and at scale. And I'm very proud to welcome with us today Mr. Martin Kern, Director of the EIT, to explain how the EIT has shepherded and contributed to the success of the Academy, and most importantly, what the future has in store for us, mainly on the Net Zero Industry Academies. Martin?
Thank you very much, and good morning. I'm very happy to be part of this celebration of reaching 100,000 learners through the EBA Academy. Thank you very much, Antonetta. Thank you very much, Oana, for the introductions. This is a major milestone, also because the EBA Academy has been a pioneering initiative for the EIT and actually brought the EIT skills development dimension into a whole new area. And of course, it's also in particular a success, and congratulations to EIT InnoEnergy, who is implementing this initiative. Training 100,000 skilled workers in the field of batteries is a significant contribution not only to the battery sector, but also to Europe's competitiveness. And that's really the context we have to see here. While today we are celebrating, it's also no secret that Europe is in the risk of falling behind, generally in the field of competitiveness, but even in the battery producing sector and the autonomous industry. We are facing major challenges. And if you listen to industry in this field, what can Europe do? What can the European Union do to support them? You usually hear two key actions that are requested. First is to reduce regulatory administrative burden, make it easier to conduct the business, as some of the regulatory issues are seen as excessive. And secondly, to help to bring talents, keep talents, skilled talents in Europe. And that's really the context for this program, for this initiative. From our perspective at the EIT, the EBA Academy has been a role model to take the EIT's education skills programs to the next level. In the early years for the EIT, focus has especially been on education programs at university level, master's programs, doctoral programs, but that's probably not enough, and certainly the numbers were not enough that we could deliver through these programs to really make a significant contribution to closing of the skills gap. Pioneered by EIT InnoEnergy, therefore through a direct dialogue with the industry, which is very prominently represented in the EIT. Actually, around half of the 2,400 partners in the EIT community are from business and industry. We could respond to their call, to the need for delivering more skills, reskilling, providing more talents on the new technology in Europe. And the EBA Academy was the first example for that, launched in 2022. This is not the end. This is not the end for this project. So the project will continue and deliver more talents and skill more workers in the field of batteries. But also the EIT is building on this initial success. So by now we already have clear commitments to deliver further academies in the field of net zero industry. That includes a Solar Academy, which we launched last year at our annual flagship event, and which is also implemented by EIT InnoEnergy and has started earlier this year. And there will be further academies to skill in the field of raw materials and advanced materials. So these are all crucial sectors for Europe's competitiveness, crucial sectors where we often don't yet have the skilled talents to become innovative, to deliver and and to also globally succeed in Europe to increase our productivity and competitiveness. As far as the EIT concerned, actually all these academies and different initiatives which the EIT has been asked to deliver from other programs, so outside of our core mandate in Horizon Europe, now amount already to around 10% of the budget of the EIT. And that is, of course, very, very significant. So EIT is leveraging financing from other programs, but of course, EIT is especially also leveraging financing from industry for its activities. And that really shows what is unique, what is the strengths about the EIT to build ecosystems, to build a strong European innovation ecosystem that can do more than deliver individual projects, that can do more than deliver individual trainings, support one startup financially, or create innovation in a project level, because it's a long-term cooperation. So EIT InnoEnergy, for example, together with EIT Climate Kick and EIT Digital, has now reached 15 years of cooperation with the EIT, also of financial support, but that also means that they have reached a level where they can finance and deliver their activities outside of the support from the EIT. And that's actually a unique success, which hasn't existed before. Partnerships which become a valued ecosystem in themselves, where people want to see results, want to finance them, to deliver on their agenda. And that's exactly what's happening here in the field of batteries. And of course, the courses that are delivered through this program in 10 languages, including in German, in French, in Spanish, Polish, Romanian, also allow the member states to leverage this ecosystem. So if you have a good program, good course in one country, it can be translated, scaled up into others. And that's, of course, a unique value which a pan-European ecosystem such as EIT InnoEnergy brings. So big thanks to all involved. Big thanks to Anna on behalf of EIT InnoEnergy for this success. But of course, the skills area, the education area is only one of the areas where the EIT delivers on the competitiveness. EIT is also delivering very strongly on the creation of businesses, particularly going directly from skills program, education programs into the creation of a company, a startup, and then scaling that up. Last week in Budapest, we celebrated 10 years of our regional innovation scheme, which has such a flagship program, the Jumpstarter, which is helping innovators in the journey of becoming an entrepreneur. And actually, very, very interestingly, for the EIT, almost half of those results, half of the funding now goes to the countries in Southern Europe, in Central Europe, in Eastern Europe, which are the widening countries. So EIT is also very much a tool to create more coherence, more geographical balance in the its activities. What is also unique about the EIT is that we have offices on the ground, hubs on the ground. So in each member state there is an entry point. It is not a centralized initiative that just exists in the Brussels, in the Commission, but it is an initiative that delivers on the ground in the member states. And that allows very, very easily for partners to approach the EIT and become part of its activities. Besides the business creation and the skills and education area, EIT also has put over 2,500 innovative products on the market through the cooperation with research, with education, and with business. So these are the three main elements which each of the innovation community of the EIT delivers. And as we can see with the different academies, which in the future are increasingly also delivered by different kicks, there is also volume of the ecosystem as a whole. So to bring together those 10 knowledge and innovation communities of the EIT, as a lot of the needs, as a lot of the innovation actually happens in between the sectors and by different partners working together that usually don't work together. So where do we go from here? So what about the future? I know it will be one of the topics in the discussion later on. I think for the EIT, we have to look no further than the report of Mario Draghi, which gives a very large number of important recommendations for Europe to remain and actually become competitive again. and 4 of them are particular relevant in terms of our activities at the EIT. He's calling for the closer cooperation between education and business area. He's calling for more commercialization of innovation, so to bring research to the market. He's calling for more creation support to startups, to businesses, to create the funnel, which will bring Europe's competitiveness in the future. And he's calling for the closure of the skills gap. And if you look at those 4 key recommendations, they're actually at the very center of what the EIT delivers now. In the very short term, we have one new exciting initiative, which is a new innovation community in the field of water. So I would also like to take the opportunity to invite everyone here and online to consider to participate in this initiative. Many of our current KICs already delivering in this field, but no one has done so comprehensively and at the scale which we aim to do with this new KIC, Knowledge and Innovation Community. And of course, in the medium term, we should continue, but also to scale up the type of activities that we have, just like EIT InnoEnergy has scaled up its education programs into initiatives like the one we are celebrating today. And evidently, EIT stands ready to do the same in the field of cooperation between business and university, in the field of creating and scaling up startups, and also in the field of commercializing new innovation. So we see ourselves as one of the key contributors through the building of our ecosystems, through the connection of the different stakeholders to support Europe's competitiveness going forward. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak here today, and I look forward to the further discussions.
Thank you very much, Antoinetta. Thank you very much, Martin, for the insights on the future and on the different activities that the EIT has. Now I want to propose to you to deep dive together with me in some of the key achievements and activities that we have conducted over the 3 years, and I want to share with you some key figures and fun facts, also to show that there is really a lot of wealth and knowledge in the EBA Academy, how we call it short, and also to share some best practices that can be easily replicated for a very wide range of audience and stakeholders in this industry. So first and foremost, let's start with the mission that European Battery Academy has received in 2022. And I remember it was very fresh after Corona, and there were 3 commissioners on stage with masks signing the agreement, and Martin was there. And we were a first-of-the-kind instrument for education and skills to address the needs across Europe with a central training service platform as a tool of choice, integrating the member states and regional authorities' education framework, as well as being integrative and aligned with EU and national funding instruments on education and industry transformation, as well as already existing projects within the domain of battery education. So the mission was very wide. So how do we translate it into practice? How does it actually look in reality? And here it is, the blueprint. And this is the blueprint of the EBA Academy, but it's also the blueprint of the other Net Zero Industry Academy. So what is at the core of a Net Zero Industry Academy? It's a central platform that is looking to integrate the skills intelligence that are needed to define the key job roles for that specific value chains. And for the batteries, I can already share with you that we have mapped over 700 job families out there, and for 75 of them, we have defined at critical granularity which are the key competencies and skills needed for each of them and the level of mastery. Because to work in batteries, you require mastery. So that it is a big effort that has been made and invested in, and that it is available for all the players in the battery industry to tap in and to build on. We are also have put in place a quality control framework to ensure that the curriculum that exists out there, it is aligned, that we are really standardizing the way we are working with the curriculum and the content that it is using across the member states. We have designed blueprints for learning journeys and created, associated them with credentials and EU-powered certification in order to make sure that the effort of the learner, it is recognized across the industry, but it's also recognized across the member states. And of course, all this is supported by a learning management system. And all it is on a central platform, AI-powered, where, let's say, all this intelligence and knowledge sits together. But that is just a central repository. To bring that to the learner, you need to deploy it, and you need to have a network of local training providers, and we have a significant network in Europe and worldwide. Then you need to bring that to the learners and to the industry. This effort, it is not possible with a centralized approach. We need to deploy the capabilities and the infrastructures that exist out there. And one key learning that the EBA Academy has is that we do not have sufficient infrastructure and labs on the ground really to address the needs of the industry, but also the needs of the learner. So that's a point that we will be looking at going forward. So if we deploy this approach, what will happen? First and foremost, we will make sure that all the learners that go through this program have access to the same content, to the same quality, and that will ensure that the credential and it is recognized across Europe and across industry, and that favorizes mobility of learners. We are also working and ensuring that there is traceability and transparency of skills. Why is this important? It is important because a lot of the skills that we have focused on in the EBA Academy are portable, can be used in other industries as well, can be used in different job roles as well. So it is very, very important to have a clear definition of the skills and to ensure to which other adjacent industries these skills are being can be leveraged to. And of course, as I just said, with these skills, a person can evolve, can grow, and can perform multiple job roles in their career. So this is the core of what EBA Academy is and what Net Zero Industry Academy is, and with that we have worked. And let me give you some insights, so, and perhaps some figures to show what we have achieved and where we have been very active and where is still work to be done in the future. So far, we have hosted on our platform over 100,000 learners. And what we can see is that 37% of these learners are women. And most of the women are active in jobs which are not very technical. So there is a lot of work still to be done in involving women in STEM and involving women in technical jobs. We have also seen that 56% of the learners that went through the EBA Academy so far have a technical diploma, but they don't have a university diploma yet. What does it tell us? That tells us that basically our target group have been what we call the traditional technicians and operators, the blue collars. And that is very, very good because we need them. We desperately need them to ensure that Europe remains a competitive continent and that we can play an active role into the battery industry. We see that we have been very active in Germany with almost 30,000 learners, in France with almost 20,000 learners, in Spain with almost 11,000 learners, and Romania and Poland each with almost 8,000 learners each. That being said, we are now I would say since almost a year, also been active in Ireland and in Slovakia and Portugal. So there is content available in these languages as well. So the shop remains open for business, so to say. Also, in terms of the courses, what it is important to say that on the foundational courses, so basically if you want to know what's a battery and how it operates and how many sorts of batteries are out there, battery fundamentals and battery storage system have been the most demanded courses. And in terms of technical courses, the battery technician has been really the most popular course that we have had, and we will actually have today a learner with us who went through this course and can share his insights on how useful these courses are. But this is indeed one of our most demanded course out there. But to be very transparent, our most popular product that we are having is it's a green energy city. It's a Minecraft application. It's an interactive learning solution for Generation Alpha. And this has over 1.2 million downloads. I see 1.6. Last time when I checked and my children downloaded, it was at 1.2, but it's growing every day. And this has an outstanding user rating and has an international reach. And why is this very important and very dear to us? Because it's really targeting the workforce of tomorrow. And we need to make the technical jobs and this industry very attractive and appealing to the learners. Basically, I would like to conclude the presentation with a couple of key achievements and to celebrate those. So these are, as you can see, listed here, 100 courses available on our platform. These are available in 10 languages. We have signed 13 MOUs with the member states and regions, and we are very grateful for their support and collaboration. We have partnerships with over 4,000 local training providers and 8 lab facilities. We have a network of 110 training train of trainers, 10 industry partnership, and 100,000 direct learners and 700 indirect learners. And basically, we are here to celebrate them and thank them for their commitment and for making this initiative a success. But now I think the best thing is to hear from these learners themselves, and I would like to ask for your patience to hear the testimonials of some of our learners.
I'm a education and training expert, being more than 12 years in the training and education industry in several roles and functions. I was part of the EBA Academy foundation team, and I'm still a proud ecosystem member of the EBA Academy. I want to give a really big congratulation to the efforts taken from the EBA Academy team to reach the 100,000 learner mark. I think it's a pretty crucial step within the European battery landscape to have those amount of people re-upskilled to join the battery workforce. Following the latest news in the media, it is even more relevant to have the right workforce for the battery value chain in place to succeed the challenge of implementing a strong European battery value chain. I'm proud that I'm still part of the journey, and we hope for having much more than 100,000 learners in the future.
Unsere Mitglieder vom Automobilzuliefernetzwerk AMZ schätzen die digitalen Lerninhalte vom InnoEnergy Skills Institut. Vor allem die verständliche Erklärung und der sehr ansprechende Inhalt wird gut genutzt für die Außenweiterbildung von den Mitarbeitenden in den Unternehmen.
RISE is Sweden's research institute and innovation partner, a state-owned institute with over 3,000 employees supporting innovation processes across many sectors. I work in the field of life cycle assessment. On my journey into the battery field, I took the opportunity to take some of the battery courses from the EBA Academy. Since my expertise and background are more on the sustainability side rather than on the technical side of batteries, I found these courses very useful and important. My hope is to leverage knowledge from these courses in my work and efforts to reduce the environmental impact of batteries, from cradle to grave. This is to ensure that batteries can help us stay within the planetary boundaries and contribute to sustainable development.
Wow, that's very emotional testimonials to see from different angles, also in different languages, the impact that the EBA Academy has had on the learners, but also on the ecosystem. And now I want to invite here on the stage with me distinguished guests, partners who have joined us in the journey of implementing the EBA Academy project. The first panelist that I want to invite on the stage is Mrs. Ingrid Rigler, Deputy Head of Unit for Innovation and European Institute of Innovation and Technology at DG EAC in the European Commission. Ingrid. Please have a seat. I would also like to invite Mr. Cédric Borzet, Director, Consulting and Advisory Services at NNIT. Mr. Terence McGovern from KPMG Ireland. Mr. Emanuele Canton from Manpower Group, EMEA RPO Solution. And the last but not least, Mr. David Harper, the CEO of Electric Avenue Bikes. Distinguished guests, dear friends, welcome. I would like to take a couple of minutes to ask each and every one of you to introduce yourselves, your engagement and activity with the European Battery Alliance Academy. So we will start with Ingrid.
Hello, thanks a lot for having me on this panel. My name is Ingrid Riegler. I'm the Deputy Head of Unit of the Unit Innovation and the EAT in the Directorate General Education, Culture, Sport and Youth of the European Commission. The unit I work in specifically deals with innovation and education. So how to use innovation to make education more innovative, but also how to use education in order to spur innovation. Our unit is also supervising the European Institute of Innovation and Technology. And this is our link to the EBA Academy, because it was a very welcomed activity of the EAT. And in this context, I have to say it is thanks to the existence of InnoEnergy and the kick already that the EBA Academy could be kicked off and rolled out so efficiently and so quickly.
Thank you, Ingrid. So maybe Dave, let's get to you.
Thank you.
Who are you and how did we meet?
Yes, thanks very much. Well, my name is David Harper and I own an e-bike business in Dublin and Ireland, and we sell electric bikes to retail customers and we also lease them to corporate organisations. Currently we're setting up a new company called Battery Base, and it was on the back of that I reached out to OANA and EIT InnoEnergy in 2023. We wanted to upskill and learn how to repair, refurbish and repurpose lithium-ion battery packs from e-bikes and e-scooters. So after a little bit of research online, we found the BatTech course and we reached out, and I personally went over to Sintra PLX in Belgium and done the training in the lab work side of things. And I can expand on that a little bit later. So that's essentially how we met. So delighted to be here.
Yeah, thank you for explaining that. I'm getting very emotional whenever I hear about electric bikes and all that. But that's a story for another time. So Cedric, perhaps a couple of words about you and NNIT and our relationship.
Yes, thank you, and very happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. So my name is Cedric Borze. I work for NIIT. We are a proud partner of InnoEnergy Skills Institute. We partner with large organizations. We are a global learning organization. We manage services for large organizations, for content development, for learning operations, administration, and strategy consulting as well. And that's where I do some work, some activities in the skills-based talent strategy. So happy to be here and hopefully have a good conversation. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for joining us. And also let's mention that NNIT is one of the 39 shareholders of InnoEnergy. So we are very honored and grateful for having you here with us today. And then Terence, a couple of words.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity of being here today. Terence McGovern, I'm a director in KPMG Sustainable Futures in Ireland, and I suppose I have two roles in the organisation. One is I lead our energy and decarbonisation practice, and that's advising corporates, energy companies and government agencies on how we deliver that net zero power system. That function sits inside what's called our deal advisory practice. So we work with developers and energy companies to implement and trade renewable assets and energy storage assets, both batteries and then newer technologies that are coming in behind us that might provide that long duration piece. So very much helping people across the implementation life cycle. So when we look at it, we'll more focus on things outside the pure technical supply chain about how you get projects implemented.
No, thank you very much for that. And we'll perhaps mention a little bit the study on which we met.
Yes. So how we met was through Energy Storage Ireland and Green Tech Skills Net in Ireland. We were doing a study and were introduced to yourselves. As part of that assessment, we quantified what was the amount of energy storage that's needed in Ireland, how that to 2050, how that can be deployed using batteries and other technologies, what skills are currently available to deploy that in Ireland, and what additional skills are needed, and how then those skills could be developed or delivered. What's interesting is the technical piece is there, but we were looking around what's the financial skills, what's the consenting, what's the recycling piece when it comes to that, the whole end-to-end of the assets.
Yes, very, very insightful collaboration, and more to come in the future. And the last but not the least, Emanuele.
Thank you, Anna, and again, thank you for having us all here today. So I am with the Manpower Group, which is a leading global workforce solution company. My role has also, as Terence, two sides to it. One is that of EMEA RPO Solution Design Manager. RPO is recruitment process outsourcing, so we also know a thing or two about scaling, as we are discussing today. But even more pertinent to today's conversation is my role within our Green Project team, which aims at creating, shaping, and driving our green proposition globally. And this is both towards our candidates, but also towards our clients, obviously. And this is why I guess we are here today, why we met InnoEnergy, Oana, and the whole team. This is why we are still collaborating to craft and deliver sustainable green talent academy solutions for our clients and, again, for our candidates. So looking forward to today's conversation.
Thank you very much, Manuela. So as you can see from a very wide spectrum of organization, with looking at the skilling and workforce development from very different angles. So the purpose here today is really to understand a little bit better what needs to be done for skills recognition in the sectors that are critical for achieving net zero. I think battery is one of them, but there are many more sectors out there. And as we just said, portability of skills and transferability of skills will be a key topic going forward. So my first question to especially Ingrid and Terence is, from the workforce development in these renewable sectors, not only batteries, is very much on the top of all the agendas today. So from your organization perspective, but also from your experience, what are the top challenges that you see that we as a continent are facing? What is blocking us, and how can we change those into opportunities? So maybe Ingrid.
Yes. Thank you, Joanna, for that question. Well, I would like to kick off mentioning the Draghi report on EU competitiveness. It was already mentioned by one of the previous speakers who also outlined a little bit in more detail the main challenges for EU competitiveness that Mr. Draghi has identified. But I would like to concentrate on one major challenge, which is the skills shortage. And I think that is really the challenge which is at the heart of the EBA Academy and of our discussion here today, especially skill shortages in critical industrial sectors such as energy. And I think this is where education, of course, has to come in after the needs have been identified, and also higher education institutions especially play a very important role here, because they have to adapt their offer of courses, their degree programs to the labor market needs. And this is a huge challenge, and it's a continuous challenge which needs to be ongoing. But we don't think that it is enough just to adapt the degree programs, which are mainly for young people coming out of school, doing their first education, for the first qualifications and job profiles and professions. But it has to go beyond that. We need much more shorter and targeted micro courses that are on offer, and they would be then targeted more towards the workforce, upskilling, reskilling the workforce and the adult population, and giving more specific skills and knowledge and competences in specific areas. And of course, then this goes beyond the higher education institutions, also other education providers. But all of these competences and skills learned in these micro courses would not get their proper value without proper recognition and certification. And I think this is where the concept of micro-credential comes in. And a couple of years ago, the European Commission has proposed a council recommendation on a European approach to lifelong learning and employability, and I think this already says what these micro-credentials are for. And 2 years ago, the council indeed adopted this recommendation, and it sets standards. It gives the definition of what these micro-courses are and what micro-credentials are. It sets standards, and through this it ensures that these credentials, they are first of all understandable to the employers, and then they are comparable between different industries, but also between different job profiles, and they are transferable. And in order to increase this further, and I think this has also already been mentioned, one of the upcoming initiatives under the new Commission is indeed a skills portability initiative to make sure that there is also the appropriate cross-border recognition of these micro-credentials between countries inside the EU.
Thank you very much, Ingrid, for these insights, and also very happy to hear that we have the regulatory framework in place to execute, basically. So we are on fertile ground, but if we look at it from the industry and the private sector perspective, how is the picture, what is the perception, how does the picture look like?
Yeah, so some of it will repeat Ingrid's views. Like we've done a landmark report in the last year for Wind Energy Ireland, Solar Energy Association and Energy Storage Ireland, and each conducted a industry survey with the education sectors. And what we're constantly hearing is scarcity resource, scarcity of sufficient resource, and that's across the renewable sectors, it's across grid connections, it's across policy, people in policy positions, it's across people in regulatory positions, financial reporting, consenting of projects, getting planning for projects. So just scarcity everywhere. Where some of that comes from is we're not getting, let's look at just purely at the technical lens of it, people are coming out of college and they're not transferring into industry. So we've a lack of conversion for STEM skills coming out as graduates. In particular, and I'm an engineer originally, by the way, and I work in corporate finance. But I remember 20 years ago when I came out of college, about 20% of my classmates were female. A colleague of mine recently was doing an interview. She's quite a senior engineer now, and she says the number hasn't changed, and that's in 20 years. However, the conversion rate of those 20% of females to technical core industries is even worse. So what some of our surveys and industry interactions finding is it's a lack of career path. So water was touched on earlier on. Again, being an engineer, if you go into the water industry, you know what your career path is going to be. If you go into the renewables industry, you somewhat. If you go into energy storage, you don't. So it's lack of clearly defined career path. Layering top of that, one of the things that's happening is the pace of change is so quick, and that's good. The pace of change is so quick, some people are struggling to see what it's, to build a career, what the career will be. What that then brings us to is the large players who can invest in training within their organisation are taking people in adjacent areas such as grids, such as planning, such as onshore wind, and redeploying them but then what's happening is they're building capability. Now, a thin layer of it, and they're worried. What they're telling us is they're worried about as the technology changes, can they keep up? But they've thin layers of specialism and then bring in a big workforce behind it. But the other organisations literally can't get started with projects because they don't know what an insurance company will accept in the spacing between containers. They don't know what the local planning policy is going to accept in terms of fire protection. What's the noise impact going to be? So the large people who can spend and borrow from existing capabilities are building a head start, but everybody else then is falling further behind. So you need transferable skills, certified everybody can access it, and then it also goes into the finance departments and the planning departments, etc.
Yeah. We have with us here a representative of an SME, a small, medium-sized enterprise. So it's a small organization struggling to compete in the labor market and attract talent for his electric bike shop. How does it look from your side? Does it resonate what Terence and Ingrid said?
Yes, it does. It really resonates what Terence and Ingrid said. So I suppose the main things are the portability of the skills, and also it's the accessibility of the skills, both from an employer's perspective and from an employee's perspective. So from an employee or maybe a learner's perspective, it's been able to access those skills, and it's been able to access on-the-ground lab work where they can feel what they've learned online in their hands and get that professional sort of guidance with on-tools experience. And that is critical, to have the lab side of things alongside the online sector. And then also from the employer's perspective, there's cost and time efficiencies associated with us being able to see that a potential employee who's applying for a job is coming in and has a credential. May that credential being attained within Ireland or anywhere else within the EU, for that to be able to transfer across is paramount. Because I'll give a quick example. We done an interview with somebody 2 months ago, and the individual in question, he came in, he said he'd done a 1 year in his electrician's apprenticeship, and then he went off travelling, so he had some experience with an electronics background. But when he actually starts soldering and we actually start seeing his on the tools experience, it was quite poor. So in that circumstance, if we had somebody coming in and saying, I'm qualified with a battery technician course, I've done lab work, I've done in-house work with another company, that really helps us, and it expedites, and it's actually less costly for a small business as well, because we don't have to employ somebody for a short period of time and then have the discussion that maybe it's not working. So yeah, I would really sort of echo what the guys have said in relation to the portability of those skills and the micro-credentials.
No, that's very insightful, but we heard a lot about also creating this pool of talent, and which is basically needs to have common denominators. That is, we need to train people and skill and upskill people with similar skill sets, empower them. We need to focus very much on developing our digital skills acumen, if I can call them like that, and also the green skills, because this will be critical for the transition going into this new economy. So, and we heard from Antoinette a little bit earlier on that one of the priorities of the new Commission will be to create a EU pool of talent that will secure that the education that one receives in one member state, or the skilling that one receives in the member state, will be recognized and valued in another member state, which we know today is not always the case. And we know that across industry, some industries, for example, the wind industry, recognize it, others don't. So it is a struggle, but we also know that there are some solutions, and that there are, let's say, experiences. And I am curious to hear from Manpower Group, which is an international powerhouse in this area. How do you manage this changing landscape in the talent pools, and what are some strategies that you can share with us that you are employing?
Sure. So let me start from the word competitiveness, because we've heard it mentioned a few times already today, and I think behind competitiveness, powering competitiveness is talent, right? We wouldn't be able to go anywhere without it, as I guess industry would testify. So when it comes to the landscape, that green talent landscape, I guess a few numbers will help put it into context a little bit. From our quarterly employment outlook service, we derived last quarter that 91% of employers do not have the talent they need to reach their ESG goals. Further, 70% are looking or will be looking for green talent, but 60% worry about the local skill gaps. So, the picture is a bit bleak when it comes to green talent, which means traditional talent approaches are not cutting. So we need to indeed work around more sustainable, non-traditional approaches to creating talent. So in this respect, let me make a few call-outs. And the first one is indeed that of talent pool. We heard it, we read it in the letter mission of DVP. The DG mentioned it today as well. So it's a topic really dear to us. We speak about talent pool with our clients regularly because we recognize that it's important to look at what's here at present, but it's also as important to plan for the future in a sustainable way. So talent pool is indeed the way to go, and is a way also of empowering individuals, individuals that would have otherwise been marginalized from a skill perspective. We want to empower them, make them part of the workforce, give them purpose in doing this. The second thing is indeed micro-credentials. So to enable true skill mobility and portability, and starting from a shared, validated European framework that could back this up, we need to look at micro-credentials as a way to go forward and indeed make talent mobility real and true. And the last thing I want to maybe call out is the alignment that needs to happen between training providers, academia, and industry. And to go even more in the concrete, I would call out, for example, all industry sectors that have a relevant percentage of operations, manufacturing, calling for blue-collar work and associated skills. That's when it's easier to lose track of the goal and to disconnect from industry. So to make skills very on the point and to create day one starters for industry is essential that this alignment happens so that we can meet our reciprocal goals.
That's very insightful observation, and thank you very much for sharing. And now I would like to ask Cedric, which is also very much involved in research onto the skills and micro-credential, but from a learning training provider and for very large organization. How does it all come together? What is the research telling us so far?
Well, first of all, one of the key insights of the research we conducted last year about this skills-based transformation in many large organizations, and we interviewed many of our clients, is that it's a journey, and some are more advanced than others, but globally speaking, there is still a lot of work to do. What we have modelized, if you want, in terms of those key insights is that you have the strategic layer and you need to know why you do the skills and how it links to your business imperatives. And I'm coming from a workplace point of view. Having the processes also adapted. If you do hiring and you want to do that from a skills-based point of view, well, you need certain processes to change in your hiring process. And then there is the recognition. And we found this acronym stream, like strategy, transformation, recognition, and I can come back on the rest later, which is like how we upskill, how we use the technology to do it. But on the recognition point, I think it's very foundational work that is still ongoing / missing in many organizations is how we define, how we identify, how we define, and how we validate and assess the skills. I think in many organizations, the topic of skills assessment leading to portability, leading to credentialization is still a big topic. So there are some questions there around, do we rely on self-assessment? Do we rely on performance feedback? And then in terms of the new trends and the new technologies allowing what we call the skills inference, which is a way to go and gather the data, structured data or unstructured data from an HR system, from a work system, if you have project managers working in a project management tool, if you have sales workforce working in a CRM, this is also where you can go and infer some data to gather what you need to, at the end of, no, not at the end of the day, at the start of the day, saying, do we have the skills or not? Then we see many organizations also getting a bit lost in the weeds when it comes to the proficiency levels. Yeah? Because I give an example of a large organization with 600 skills on their skills, let's say, taxonomy of dictionary, but then using a system, a learning platform where they have 7 different levels of proficiency, and another talent platform where it's 8. And so, going back to what I heard this morning about the union of skills, I think in some organizations, we need this union of skills at the level of the talent function first, so that you can then start trying to develop those skills, what we call the build, buy, borrow approach. But this is a challenge purely from an assessment point of view. There are other ones, but just on that one, maybe one last thing about how to categorize the skills as well. What I've heard recently is that indeed not all the skills need that level of proficiency. You don't need to go and really make your life more difficult if you just have to know, do we have it or not? Then depending on the type of skills, if it's related to business critical skills or safety skills, of course I want the pilot in my plane to have a formal assessment, right? But sometimes it's not necessary. I think there are some promising opportunities as well with AI-powered solutions. We are testing some in the flow of the activity, in the flow of work, how you get direct feedback on your behaviors or skills with dealing with clients, for instance. So there are elements there that can come and help, because this is a hard work.
Well, thank you very much, Cedric and all. I think we have heard loud and clear micro-credentials. We need to work on that. I think pool of talent or talent of pool is really critical going forward. I think skills portability, it also popped up in all the conversation, and transferability as well. And also alignment in taxonomy and recognition. I think that's needed at all levels: strategic, operational, tactical, but also institutional, industrial, and educational. So a very complex matrix that we are looking at here. But I think if there is a lot of expectation, I would say, on the European Commission to align the stakeholders, to provide guidance, and to ensure that, let's say, at least we have a coherent strategy going forward. So I would like to ask you, Ingrid, if possible, from the Commission point of view, on this subject and on these matters, how do you ensure that this is transmitted and that there is a seamless alignment with the member states as well? And especially if you can elaborate on the tools that exist actually to tackle these challenges that have mentioned, because we know that this tool exists. The Net Zero Industry Academy is one of these tools, but many more are there. So I think it is important to communicate these and to make it, let's say, very clear, and also to link that to some of the points that our representative from the industry have raised.
Yes. What I would like to say here is that the Commission has got various policies and programs in place which try to equip especially young people with the right skills from the start. And when I say right skills, I mean the right skills for a fulfilled professional and private life. So to have success in life from a job point of view, a professional point of view, but also as a person and as a citizen, as an active citizen. And of course, this in itself is an enormous challenge. It has always been a challenge because the world has always changed, but somebody said it, the pace in which the world currently is changing is unprecedented. So the challenge is growing along. Basically, the future is very much unknown. So you have kids at school and then later on at university. And what you teach them at school and what you teach them at university, who knows, later on might not be needed, and something completely different is needed. So the unknown factor of the future. So it is also a teaching of young people towards preparedness, towards resilience, towards learning to learn, and to maybe even having to reinvent themselves throughout the years. And of course, we try to have the appropriate policies and programs in place for that. There are a multitude of programs. I wouldn't be able to mention all of them. I mean, I can quickly mention, for example, Erasmus Plus. I don't think that it needs much more introduction or explanation, where you can study, train and learn abroad with also the personal benefit that brings, not only the professional benefit. Then there is, for example, the European Solidarity Corps, which gives a very important volunteering experience to young people doing community work for the benefit of the community. Then under the Digital Education Action Plan, we try to identify the right digital skills young people need. Also on literacy, for example, media literacy, especially in the field of disinformation, which currently, of course, is very topical. And then also, to give an example, coming from the fields of the EAT and the KICS, the Girls Go Circular project at school, where young girls, indeed, to close a little, to try to close the gender gap, are trained digital skills, entrepreneurial skills in the circular economy. So there are a multitude of programs and initiatives where you can also see partly fully fledged programs, but partly also micro-learning, micro-courses, which again brings me back, of course, to recognition and certification and the micro-credential. And here the council recommendation that I mentioned, because it is and of course, it is a recommendation. It is not hard law. It is something voluntary by the member states to implement and pick it up. And it is not limited to the formal learning settings. And in the formal learning settings, is not limited to higher education. I wanted to underline that. It goes into vocational education and training. It goes into the schools, and it goes also into informal learning setting, like recognizing, like I said, volunteering experiences. And it goes also into collaboration with all sorts of training providers, including employers and companies that skill people themselves. So this is a very short overview of the various measures we take trying to tackle the challenges we have in that field.
Thank you very much, Ingrid. Maybe I would like to ask the gentleman, starting with Cedric, what do you, in your experience, what does it work? How to align the organization with the skills that they need and really after they go through the pilot syndrome, how we call it, what does it work after that?
You mentioned something earlier about the governance model. Yeah? That is, I think, sometimes a word that would scare a few people, but for scalability, it is essential. So what we observe with large organizations when they go into this capability academy model, which is a way to work with the business from a central point of view, having the central approach, providing a platform, providing some tools, providing some content, but then having that content contextualized in a certain business. You need to federate your governance model, and you need to have a place where at the tactical and the strategic level, the business leaders will meet with the talent people, will meet with the SMEs to make sure that there is a real dialogue there happening and decision being made that can go beyond let's test something and then see if that's going to work. Like I heard the other day, like hope is not a plan. in that approach, we need to be much more intentional. I think we have enough experience now of those capability academies to see from a tactical point of view, purely from a learner experience point of view, we know what works or what doesn't, right? And the micro-learning approach and having a more personalized experience are definitely the good ingredients. But then to scale that and make sure that you're going to address the right skills at the right moment, it's very much a conversation where the business needs to be involved. Personally, I believe, with 20 years experience in the HR and the talent field, I believe that my voice is not projecting. I believe that the shift to skills is really an opportunity to involve more of the business decision makers and the business leaders in those questions, rather than behavioral competencies or job titles or even degrees, which was not really talking to them. Now we are talking skills, we are talking tasks to be performed, and that's, I think, an opportunity to have a more collaborative approach to hit.
Thank you very much for this insight, Cedric. Maybe, Terence, a couple of words from you on this approach?
Yeah. So what we're seeing, what our research has shown is that primarily for expediency, but corporates are developing the skills in-house. They're training up with their own teams, they're not using third-party providers, and it's because they feel that they're not able to get the talent and the skills they need in the time scale they need it right now, so they're doing it internally. What that then leads to is, back to the certification transferability, someone's skills base or recognition is coming from the brand of the corporate they were trained in, not an independent. So, and other talent will be overlooked because they have the ability, they just weren't fortunate enough to be in a geographic area or they were hiring at the right time. So that's a concern. Now, what we have seen is, really good work from SkillsNet in Ireland, and they've brought together academies of corporates who send their graduates and somewhat experienced engineers together, and they work collaboratively. They're competitors, but they are working on the technical skills because they know they have to build out that supply chain and skills, so they have a sufficient workforce in Ireland. We are an island nation, we can't import too much things too easily, because the alternative, and we'll get to that in a second, it's a cost for everybody. What the researchers conclude is, so for expediency, the training internally, How that becomes an issue is over time they've also laid out where they see the capacity, most urgent capacity gap now, what's going to be in 3 to 5 years, and what's it in 7 years, right? As they build out more and more assets. So if we continue to do that, we're creating a friction problem on today's skills, and then the skills for the large at-scale skills we develop in 5 years will have the same friction problem, the same. They've absolutely called out, an appetite to work with micro-credentials and an appetite to work with third-party providers who can come in and provide those skills. They feel in the Irish market it's just not there yet, or not sufficient. Surprisingly for us, they ruled out tertiary education as revising or expanding the tertiary education modules to serve this market. They don't think it's going to really enhance what they need. So they very much said, look, we're doing it alone. We'd like to work with others if it's there, but don't really worry about the universities. Where this ends up is, and it's two really good case studies again, looking at the island of Ireland. So our solar industry, we traditionally didn't have, or finally getting it, didn't have the skills and the talent to do a lot of the EPC, the engineer, procure, construct on grid-scale ground-mounted solar. So basically putting the foundations into ground to put solar panels on top. What that meant was the companies came in from Europe, they trained up Irish people, that then ultimately transferred, but we pay a large cost, and that drives up our electricity prices. And we're not creating the jobs in Ireland, and people who are losing their jobs in other sectors because we're decarbonising don't have the opportunity to get into that aspect. Now, on the flip side, what we've also done is we've built a huge amount of data centres, right? And data centres are very complex facilities to design, construct, and commission. And the people who build them and own them and operate them, they want to trust partners. So what we do have is we have a large amount of engineers in Ireland who are now brought all across the world and all across Europe to help the tech firms build their data centres in the other area. So we're flying engineers west to east and east to west to do different things, which actually can be done in the local market. Now, a large number of domestic Irish engineering firms have been bought out by BlackRock and other investors because they're making a lot of money, and that's coming through YouTube adverts and all that kind of stuff. But for ones that aren't that, for the battery system, it's holding communities back from getting those jobs and to raising prices of everything for everybody. Just you don't see it because you're selling ads in the data center, but you do see it on your electricity price.
Oh, that's very insightful analysis on how having the right skills, it also translates directly on our purchasing parity at the really consumer level and how it's impacting our daily life. So that's very insightful analysis. And talking about skills, I need to close and the panel because we are at time, and I want to ask each of you for 1 minute for a closing remark or a conclusion that you want to share with us and with the audience online before we wrap up the panel and then we start celebrating offline. So maybe Dave, if we start with you.
Sure. Thanks, Terence. Yes, just to wrap up and to summarise what some people have touched on is the importance of public-private partnerships and how that on-the-ground experience is really crucial for helping people to skill up. I was told once that knowledge is knowing something, but wisdom is what comes after you apply the knowledge. And sometimes the EU can be accused of over-regulating and under-innovating. But I think that with the likes of the SkillsNet and with the likes of the training that has been produced here, we can create more innovation and we can move forward. So that's me. Thank you.
And thank you, David, for mentioning one word, which is partnership, which is particularly dear to us, especially when we look at green. So it is clear that we have to go unconventional ways about creating green talent. We, as Manpower Group, last year trained about 11 million people worldwide, but we are not a training company. And that's why today we are partnering up with InnoEnergy, because we recognize their experience in upskilling and reskilling within renewable energy. And we want to partner up to also leverage our own expertise, which is around talent and talent solutions. So this together we see a way to widen that talent pool, to support businesses that are screaming for help from a talent perspective. We want to do it in a sustainable way, in a way that empowers the local communities and in a way that can be profitable and sustainable for all parties involved. So we're very much looking forward to what this collaboration will bring.
Thank you very much.
Closing remarks. Look, I think it's a great program. It's been fantastic success, so well done. Appetite is definitely there from the corporate base to utilise this, and we can see it picking up. What we say, it's largely about conversion rate. So how do we get that wider filter? Is it older people? Is it people returning to the workforce? How do you get more people into the filter so you can convert them? It is about ultimately getting to net zero. So expanding it to, you know, water and other things, how we interact with battery energy storage, other forms of energy storage, renewables, interconnection, and so on. And then finally, as I've said, the battery technology landscape is evolving very quickly and it'll accelerate further. So it's how keeping it fresh and relevant.
Thank you very much, Terence. Cedric?
Okay, trying to be very short. And if there are people there in the audience, you know, wondering where do we go next with skills, really one big advice is to involve skills across the talent value chain. So in an organization, is not to treat skills in one area of skills is learning or skills is hiring. Actually, skills is not about learning or about hiring. It's about the business. It's about the people. So try to find a point of reconciliation between those business imperatives, big societal climate challenges, digital acceleration, and keep in mind that yes, it's behind the skills there are the people. Many people are anxious actually in the workplace, seeing all those big changes and transformation happening, especially in the AI age and context. So make sure that they understand the what's in it for me of working with skills. And to the point made earlier, I think beyond the green, the digital skills, data-driven, the cognitive skills, the learning how to learn is really, really important. And that's, as a father here or as a citizen, something that I'm passionate about is like how we transfer from the academic world to the workplace and very early help our young people to learn how to learn in this future world. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you
again
very
for
much.
the invitation.
Ingrid?
Yes, thank you. I would also like this last intervention to speak up for partnerships, public-private partnerships, including academia. I think it is by bringing together various actors with different strengths and different views, and including diverse voices and perspective through this cross-fertilization. Actually, this is what spurs innovation, that helps us address complex challenges and have ultimately sustainable progress. So academia creates knowledge, industry applies the knowledge, and then the public entities supports this process. So I think all players are needed here. I would really speak up for models like the EBA Academy, where the training, the courses are designed by the private sector, by industry. They're supported by them. They're aligned with industry needs. Very often they're delivered by private education providers, but all of that still needs the strong support of member states, of public authorities to get the buy-in, roll out additional funding, certification, recognition. So everybody together in partnership, I think this will make the big change.
Yes, indeed, and today's panel, it's an example of such a partnership of actors from different parts of the value chain working together, teaming up, learning from each other, leveraging each other's strengths. So once again, thank you very much for being part of the panel today. Thank you very much for joining us today in this celebration. And also thank you to all of you online for your time, for participating, for being together with us and celebrating 100,000 learners of EBA Academy. Thank you and goodbye. Before we complete,